Nissan, and they have made an historic collaboration with Mercedes-Benz to put this assembly plant. So they are going to be in the state of Aguascalientes. Then there is BMW, which will be located in the state of San Luis Potosí. Audi, the plant is already under construction, and they might be starting operations next year. And they are located in the state of Puebla. And as I said before, Kia, that will be located in the state of Nuevo León. So not only companies like the three bigs from the US or the Asians that produce commercial vehicles, medium profile vehicles have made their bets to the country, but now we see that luxury brands are making their bets in Mexico. And well, it's not easy to demonstrate to the Germans that you are capable of doing something, right? So we see now all the Germans OEMs will have operations in Mexico. Yes.
Quick question: are they all being imported into the U.S. or are they going worldwide?
Can you repeat the question?
The cars produced there, are they being all shipped to the U.S. or are they going worldwide?
Worldwide. Okay, so a little bit about statistics. Mexico is the 8th largest producer of cars in the world. You see here the graph, and if you see the graph with the green bars just on the right side, that's a graph that shows the volume of cars manufactured in Mexico. And if you consider in 2007, 2008, just before the global economic crisis, we were producing close to 2 million cars per year. And the forecast for 2018 is to produce about 4 million cars. So in a time period of 10 years, we will have doubled our capacity. So that's good news. That may be also a problem, but it's one of the problems every country wants to have, right? Because this represents jobs, this represents flow, money flow, and everything. So just to give you an idea of the industry worldwide, China is the world's largest producer of vehicles in USA, Japan, Germany, South Korea, India, Brazil, and Mexico. From what I said before, when we reach 2017 or 18, it's supposed that we will go above Brazil, so we will become the 7th largest producer of vehicles. And also an OEM industry, OEM, if you're not used to this term, OEM is original equipment manufacturer. That's how in the industry we call the Toyotas, the Nissans, BMWs. There wouldn't exist an OEM industry without their suppliers. So it's a huge industry in Mexico. Also, the auto part manufacturing, an industry that represents about $80 billion per year, and some of them are supplied to the OEMs located in Mexico, and some of them are exported to OEMs in other countries in the world. So why Mexico, and why we have seen since 2008 this huge growth of this particular industry, and maybe also the industry that Juan Carlos talked about, which is the aerospace industry. One, the first, and I say, well, I think, well, this has been nature that gave us this benefit. We didn't do anything about it, but the geographic location. if you, well, that map is very small, but Mexico narrows down in the center a lot. So if you have a manufacturing facility nearby the center of Mexico, in less than 3 or 4 hours, you can get on a ship or be on a truck and ship your products to the biggest markets in the world. So you can go through the Pacific to Asia, you can go to the Atlantic to Europe or to South America, or you can go north to the US and Canada by truck. So in less than 4 hours, you are out of the country already shipping your products. So that's one of the added value. Ricardo, my colleague already mentioned about the open economy. We have agreements with more than 44 countries in the world. Manufacturing excellence. Some of the facilities operating in Mexico from foreign countries have the highest rank of quality and manufacturing excellence in the world. So, for example, the operation of Ford in Hermosillo is in the top 3 of their manufacturing excellence facilities in the world. Skilled labor force at all levels, since operators, technicians, engineers, masters, and PhDs. There's an integrated good system that is graduating constantly, a skilled labor force that can be occupied by the companies already established there, growing there, or making their plans to go to Mexico. Stable economy, not news of critical strikes from unions in Mexico. So, it's pacified or peace with the unions. Supply chain collaboration through clusters. This is an initiative that has been growing in Mexico, integrating the supply chain through organizations, associations, chambers, and companies are starting to collaborate, open their knowledge, their know-how, all their experience to help the other companies also operating next door. It doesn't matter if they are competitors, but they share their knowledge, they share their resources in order to make the region more competitive, because they know they are not competing anymore with the company next door. They are competing worldwide. So the philosophy of sharing with the region, with the companies located near you, they think they will bring more business to the region. This demographic bonus, you see there the graph of the demographic bonus. This will last for about 30 or 40 years, so it's really good. The people that is in age of working and generating economy in the country is more than the people that doesn't. And cost competitive, mainly with labor. This is a graph of how the automotive cluster that I work for is organized. There's representation of four type of institutions. One is the industry, the academy, institutions such as chambers, banks, other clusters, foundations, and then the government. So what we do is we try to build bridges between all these players for them to collaborate and be more competitive, working together. And then I think this is the last slide, and this is particularly how our reach of the automotive cluster. This shows a picture of the supply chain of an automotive industry. Of course, you will see there that aftermarket and dealers are out of our reach. Not because of that means they are not part of the industry. We are just focused at this stage on the manufacturing of a car, not on the sales or after sales service. So that's why you also see out of our reach the service and machinery suppliers. And also that doesn't mean we don't open our doors for them and we don't want to collaborate with them. We do. We just, our daily operations, we do them with the type of organizations inside the red pointed line, which are OEMs, Tier 1 suppliers, Tier 2 suppliers, and raw material suppliers, and of course, the academy and the government. And well, you may recognize some of these logos. These are the institutions associated to cloud. Of course, we have some of them are from the US, but we also have companies from Japan, Spain, Germany, Mexico, Argentina. And here's my contact information if you want to have further information of anything that I presented. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ricardo. In Spanish, I say my tocayo because we have the same name. So, because you have a great name. Yeah, I'm sure about that. I have the pleasure to introduce Roger Leon. Roger Leon is going to talk about the way to make distribution in Mexico. He's an expert in this field, and we need to talk something more general that the outer space and automotive business. So, Roger, please. Remember, at the end, we are open for answering questions. Oh. Uh-oh. ¿Tú sabes cómo se llama tu presentación?
Why Mexico? Why Mexico?
Se llama USS el folder. Está USS.
USS, yes.
Okay. First of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Roger Leon. I am from Costa Rica. However, I have been living in Mexico for the last 14 years. I also had the opportunity to live in Panama City for around 3 years and also in Nicaragua for around 2.5 years. And I also had the opportunity to live in Colombia for more than 7 months, working with my partners there in a very specific project. I have around 22 years of experience in supply chain. More than 50% of those 20 years have been working for Latin America, with responsibilities for around 16 countries, from Mexico to Brazil, in some of the companies where I have worked. And I want to thanks ESC to invite me here, to Ricardo to consider me as part of the panel, and also you, because you are here. In fact, I have to say something. I am very surprised about the quantity of people in this audience, and I really appreciate that. Allow me to share some specific numbers of supply chain, or why Mexico can be considered one of the major countries in Latin America as in supply chain perspective. In 2014, the increase of Mexico export is around 7.7%. That is the highest percentage from 2012. It's almost the double. The export in Mexico have grown more than 123% compared with the year 2000. So in 14 years, the growth has been higher and higher in export from Mexico. And that's include the industries that we already talked. However, we can talk about another industries which are exporting more and more worldwide. Mexico represents the 35% of the export of the entire region of Latin America. Mexico is part of the biggest economic bloc around the world, with around $18.7 billion. Mexico has a network of the free trade agreements with around 50 countries. That's talk a lot about how the industry and how the own industry in Mexico has grown. The infrastructure in Mexico, in the logistic perspective. Lázaro Cárdenas Port, $1 billion investment in 2 years. This is one of the most modern ports around the world. Altamira Port, growing more than 39% against the last year, in movements arriving from China, Europe, and US. The Port of Veracruz, more than 23 million tons of goods are handled in this port year by year, and growing with a rate of around 5–10%. The new international airport. I didn't bring some pictures, but you already saw more information about the airport. That will be. I have understood that the airport will be ready in 2018. It's one of the modern airports around the world. It will be one of the airports. Very important for our economy, for our industry, for our import and export processes. The multimodal infrastructure in Mexico. At least today, we have new key projects. And we will continue growing with the multimodal infrastructure. I mean by train, trucks, the ports that we already talked. Why Mexico can be considered as a key point of supply chain for Latin America? Mexico versus China. And I don't want to talk about China. I had the opportunity to work very close with them. In fact, my former employee was Lenovo, which is one of the biggest company in China. It's the #1 PC manufacturer around the world. And I worked very well with them. And I really have to say that I learned a lot from China. However, why Mexico versus China? The cost of labor in China, and that was one of my main challenges when I was working in China with Lenovo and with Black & Decker previously. The labor in China is getting up, and up. Why? Because the Chinese guys that used to come from the very small towns now are more prepared, and they are trying to get more and more money. That is real. That is something that you can live, that you can, people is more prepared. The people is working around 10, 12 hours, and the rest of the time are studying, are getting prepared and more prepared. But that is increasing the cost of China. However, in Mexico, we still have a lot of people with very good universities, local universities and international universities in Mexico. We are still very well prepared, but the cost of the labor is still low. The long distances of transportation of goods. I had the opportunity to establish a manufacturing plant of PCs in Tierra del Fuego, Argentina, where the penguins are around the roads. But it was amazing how fast you can have the logistic process, so you can run a logistic process from Tierra del Fuego around Argentina or around another countries close of Argentina as Brazil. However, in China, you need to take more and more time because the long distances that you have to run to move up the goods from China to Latin America. I used to have a distribution center in Shenzhen, one of the main cities in China, and it was amazing how the evolution in the logistic process. However, the times and more restriction in customs are getting lower, making the process a little bit slow compared with how Latin America is getting prepared to run with that. The country debt is around 27% against the PIB in Mexico. That says a lot about how strong is the economy in Mexico. Moderated inflation, increased international reserve. I think that is a record of in the international reserves today in Mexico. Improvements in supply chain network. I will say that in my last 14 years living in Mexico, only interrupted to live in Bogota for around 7 months, I have been facing a lot of changes in the infrastructure and how the logistic and supply chain in Mexico has been easier and easier with specific projects in customs, with specific projects in the networks of supply chain. High qualified but low cost labor compared with some other countries. 62 million people workforce. People specialization. We were talking this morning with Ricardo about how many engineers are now working on the two industries that Ricardo talked about. The quantity of people specialized in those kind of industries is getting up and up. Not everything is good. We still have, in Mexico and obviously in some other countries in Latin America, a lot of challenges to face. We were in the previous speaker when we were having the lunch talk about some of the challenges of Mexico. Allow me to share with you in Latin America and Mexico from my perspective. With 20 years traveling to Mexico and China and US, trying to get improved the supply chain networks of the companies that I have had the opportunity to work. The inventory control optimizations, high inventories. And those high inventories are because the time that you need to take to move the goods, more of the goods from Asia to Latin America. As a consequence of rationalization and optimization of the purchasing model. We need to work on the purchasing models that we are running. Processes, focus, organization are part of the issue to solve. We need to improve that to change the speed of our logistics. To continue improving logistic network, we have done a lot of efforts on that. However, the highest demand, better time and cost. Today, the customers are looking for cost, and cost. Today, I'm working with a 3PL, one of the largest 3PL in Mexico, and it's amazing. I am in charge of the specific projects to improve the supply chains of around 30 customers. They're big companies. When we are negotiating the rate, it's amazing. The only thing that they think is cost. What is the better cost that you can offer to me? We are trying to solve this with service. We are trying to solve this, trying to make innovation in the process. However, one of the main things in the mind of these guys are cost. Highest cost, customer expectation, best cost and service. To continue reinforcing the use of high technology. Many changes in the last 5 years, I would say in Mexico and Colombia and Argentina, and even in Brazil. However, we need to run best practices and simplify the controls that we have in our supply chains. To simplify customer processes. The custom processes in Brazil and Argentina and Colombia are still slow. They have been doing an effort to solve the point that are stopping, but we need to break those custom barriers. Long-term strategies, partnership, and alliances. This is part of my speech when I talk with my customers in my actual job. We need to make a long relationship. It cannot be because the cost of today and you tomorrow will be with another 3PL because the cost is 1 peso below the actual rate that you have. We need to make a strategic partnership. We cannot think in the cost of today. We need to think about the long-term strategies. We still have a culture-oriented 100% of the cost, which is not good for everybody. It's a cost war. That is the information that I wanted to share with you. Of course, I will be ready for any question that you have. I will say that I am very experienced. I am not the people that knows everything, even with my 23 years working in Latin America. But for sure, we can learn together. Thank you.
Very well. We are open for questions. Yes, sir.
I have a question. With so much new development happening in Mexico, how involved or at least interested is the country in providing professional education or certification programs to people who are interested in global supply chain, like either through places like here, the Marshall School of Business, or APICS?
Well, maybe the question is for me. I am professor. Yes, let me tell you, we try to do that because it's graduate programs. We have an agreement with the United States to send about 25,000 students per year in the following 4 years to reach 100,000 Mexican students came here to the United States to take master's degrees and PhDs. And the idea is that we must to match what the